if it's life-threatening, and she realizes that, and because the important part is the realizing. It goes back to what I said before. Then the next recognition is I'm out of control. I'm out of control. In that case, I would strongly advise this person to go to some kind of group process. I don't have anyone in particular in mind, something like Weight Watchers or any program that will help you. 12-step program for Overeaters, Overeaters Anonymous. Jenny Craig is a diet program. I would say get involved with an organized group and use the support system of the group to empower yourself. So that's my first and second, maybe my third suggestion for somebody who has recognized that their eating is really causing that. Now, if you want to take it on yourself, I would say to you, okay, first of all, there's a sacrifice that's involved here. Clearly, if you could have done this easily, you would have done it before. So you're not giving something up. You don't want to give up your food pattern. Now, diets don't work. Over 90% of the people that diet, this is the last time I looked at statistics, admittedly a couple of years ago. Over 90% of the people that go on a diet gain their weight back within a year. That is not very promising. So diets don't work. Diets that are temporary don't work to lose weight, is the way that I see it. What works is keeping patterns of food consumption forever. That's the way that I address it. And so, I would have a conversation with this person and say, okay, if you were going to give up one thing, if you knew that you could give it up, maybe you could have it once a month, every now and then. But basically, this is about giving something up that you really, really want. And the reason is the consequences of not acting are severe. And so you want to take a step in that direction. Now, I don't know what it is, but I'd ask you to give up one thing. If it's Oreo cookies, or candy, or chocolate cake, or filling or fried chicken, or fried food, I would say pick something. And then I'd give yourself a date. Remember, if you can't do it, you need to be in the company of other people who are supporting each other to gain the inner strength to reclaim the throne that belongs to the Queen of Kings. One of the stories, again, was the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and how the king or queen is the one that belongs in the seat of power inside the psyche, the one that makes the decisions about how you want to live your life. So if you want to live your life, and you realize that the pattern of food consumption is actually going to kill you, and you're saying, okay, I got to change something. It's either that or I'm going to drop dead of a heart attack or whatever, or kidney failure or diabetes, or, that's what's going to happen. Okay, you got to give something up. If you can't do it yourself, you go to a group. If you can do it yourself, I would do a ceremony, light a candle, and say, okay, goodbye, fried chicken. I'm never eating you again. That's it. I'm saying goodbye. I'm sacrificing my love of fried chicken. Every time I look at this fried chicken, or pick anything you want, I want to know consciously that I am inviting death and illness to myself. That's what eating that chicken represents to me. I am saying I can't stop killing myself. Now, again, if you can't stop yourself, Go to a support group. Go to a therapist. Good function for a therapist. You need somebody. It's not necessarily something for a family member. It's a lot to handle. You need help. Now, if you can help yourself, you're good. So then you make your commitment. You're giving it up. Now, you get to see how you handle that. Can you actually keep up your intention to not eat the food that you sacrificed for your life? You're sacrificing. A real sacrifice because you love it. Can you be true? Every time you're true to yourself and you consciously avoid the fried chicken, especially when you drive by your favorite Colonel Sanders place, you can feel good about yourself because you're building your inner strength. You're building the strength of the part of your psyche that wants to be in control of how you want to conduct your life. If you succumb to the desire to go back to the fried chicken, even one time, observe your enemy within, the one that is making it impossible for you to stay committed to your goal. And describe it, write about it, get to know it. Because it's an enemy. That impulse, that desire, that craving, that thing that says, I can't live without the fried chicken. That is something that's dominated you throughout your life. So you have a choice. You can either take it on. You're not taking on the chicken anymore, you see. You just peeled away a level. You're taking on the part of you that doesn't want to give up the chicken. And now you have a real challenge. This is the challenge of internal development. I talked about before, there are stages of adult development. Now you can begin to engage with yourself and figure out how to deal with your own patterns that are disruptive and sabotaging in your own life. But again, the way to do it, from my point of view, is pick something that you know you want to change, and then use the process of change to learn more about yourself. Who was it that said a life unexamined was a life not worth living? I don't know who said that. This is taking responsibility for who you are as a human being. This is another level of development. Not everybody knows that this is even possible. And even those, many of those say, I can't do it, it's too hard. And they continue to be the victim of their own behavior. Now, some people, there are other ways of dealing with aberrant behavior. I mean, there's 30 or 40 million people who are taking antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills, not to mention antipsychotic medication. Now, there are times, there's a reason they call these medications miracle drugs, by the way. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, against psychotropic medication. I'm not against the, let's say psychotropic, the allopathic psychiatric medication. For some people is invaluable and life-saving. So this isn't a judgment call from that point of view. I think there are significant numbers of people who would choose to be on a medication rather than to grapple with some of the patterns in their lives that produces some of their emotional consequences. How's that for a full sense? Rather than change something in your life, people would rather take a pill to not be depressed about it. Circumstances you find yourself in, so on and so forth. Maybe there are things that you can't, sometimes it's a good idea. There are things you can't change. There's some things that might be bigger than you. So maybe there's some aspect of surrender in there. So, that's my suggestion for this person who wants to take on a difficult pattern of behavior. I hope it was valuable. I wish him or her good luck.
That helped a lot.
Okay.
All right, I think we're down to change time.
Yep. All right. So here we go. Change time. This is it. I didn't know what this program this show is going to be about, but it is about Shrink Different. I like to help people create change in their lives, the change agent. And so doing it from afar, you see, we're all so similar. That's why I can do this exercise. Because the human psyche in some ways is just, same way we got a certain amount of arms and legs and toes and fingers, our psyches are very similar in some ways. They function similarly, and dynamics can be talked about. I could talk to hundreds or thousands of people, or tens of thousands of people, and it's the same thing, so it all boils down to you the individual, and how you want to deal with your circumstances. Here we are, it's the night before, not Christmas, but New Year's. And all the little mice are running around the house. So pick something you'd like to change in your life. Something you'd like to do more of or less of. Something you'd like to stop or start. Ideally, you'll write it down. If not, say it out loud so you hear yourself talk. And again, identify one small thing that you would like to do that would take you in that direction. And let us know how it works. I want to know how it works. And when you write in or call in, we'll send you an e-book, a free e-book, either the Taming Your Anger book, which is a method to change your behavior to deal with your anger. It's a whole workbook. The whole program is in there. And the other one is called Building Blocks for Emotional Intelligence. I've given you some of those over the weeks here so far and continue to drop some in every now and then. So I wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope there's some value gained from our conversation tonight in terms of your evening tomorrow. And we'll see you next week and talk about the new year and see what topics come up. Maybe we'll just pick up the paper and give us a call if there's something that you would like for me to address and talk about, whether it's a personal issue or it's not so personal but community related, or I don't know, if it has something to do with psychology and experiential knowing of things, I'd be glad to give you my opinion. So with that as a farewell, I will speak to you next week. Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Doc, and thank you, Chris, for joining us this week on Shrink Different. Doc, have a Happy New Year. You, Chris, as well, have a Happy New Year. Listeners at TFOK Radio, have a Happy New Year. I am Mr. J, and this is Doc Wolf Show, Shrink Different. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.